Hi, everyone.
Testing.
Can you all hear me? Can you hear Patty?
Good morning.
So I'm super excited about every conversation we have here at Parables and about every conversation I have with Patty. But I'm really excited to introduce some of you to her. Some of you know her very well, but some of you don't know her at all. And this is Patty Groth. She is our new bookkeeper at Morningstar, but she also has other connections to the community and to the church, and so we'll let you talk about all of that. This is Parables. Many of you have been here before. Some of you are just connecting with us online, and that's great. This is a storytelling initiative, Patty, that we started in September when we changed our worship times because we wanted to offer a chance for people to get to know each other better. And we really believe that hearing even part of our story, because we don't have time for the whole thing in 30 minutes, helps us develop empathy and compassion. And that's really important. It's a core value here at the church. I have this weird echo thing, Stuart. Is it on the box? Are y'all hearing that too? It's fine for you? Okay. Well, then I'll just ignore my discomfort with it. We'll go forward. If it's not a problem for you, it's totally fine. So, Patty, can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and your childhood, please? We'd like to start there.
I can. First thing I'd like to say is my mother, Sue, is here. And so please don't ask me any questions that I don't want my mom to know.
Thank you, Stuart.
So I was born in Las Vegas, New Mexico, and grew up in Albuquerque, and my mother played the organ at Asbury Methodist Church, and I think I went to Mother's Day Out there as well. But I'm Catholic and went to church every single Sunday with my dad, and was raised in the Catholic Church. And that church is very special to me because it reminds me of my dad. But it's also, what's different here that I feel is just, we're not allowed to speak at the Catholic Church. We wouldn't talk to anybody. And so I've already met a lot of people. But, and then I have a brother, David, who's 4 years younger. And he lives in Albuquerque, and he has 2 children, my niece and nephew. And I have a sister who's another 4 years younger, Valerie Pickett. And she and her husband, Mark Pickett, have the Pickett Law Firm here in Las Cruces. And besides being very Catholic, my dad was very involved in college sports. And he was the sports information director at UNM when I was growing up. And then in 1975, he got a job offer down here. And if that's not the worst thing in the world to go from being a Lobo to an Aggie. So we came down here in 1975 and went to Alameda Junior High and Mayfield and NMSU. One thing, my dad would disappear at night. I thought, where was Dad going? Well, even though he became an Aggie immediately, he would get in the car and drive around the neighborhood and listen to KOB in the car so he could hear the Lobo games. So really, really raised with collegiate sports and the Aggies and that kind of thing.
Is that something you still follow?
I do. And when I lived out of state, I could watch Aggie Vision and see my dad on the camera and everything at the Pan Am, so that was pretty neat.
That's neat, yeah. So you've talked a little bit about kind of moving into the next question, which is your faith background. You grew up Catholic, going to Mass with your dad, but tell us a little bit about the role that your faith upbringing has played in your life.
Well, one thing, this is harder than it seems. I looked at the questions and thought this is going to be easy to talk about myself, but it's not. One one of the things I remember early on, we were at church and I was about 9, and I saw a lady and I said, "Ooh, look at her." And my dad yanked my arm and he says, "Don't you ever do that again." And he said, "The world would be a different place if the good Lord had made us all the same." And I've never, ever forgotten that. And I think it's made me a pretty good, caring person, and talk to my God in my own way.
It becomes a worldview.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. Well, and you have worked with many churches, you work in nonprofits, and so you kind of stay in that faith arena. We'll talk a little bit more about that,
Okay.
but that has to be by choice.
Yes,
Right? I know
yes.
that's by choice. So we talked a little bit about where you went to school. You want to talk a little bit more about your training, your work history, kind of.
Sure. So I'm a math nerd, and I would have been a 4.0 student, except I always had a C in PE. And I was the last one. Okay, we'll take Patty on our team. I was still running first period into second period. I'm not very coordinated, but I was good at math. So I got into college and thought, and mom's being a teacher forever, and my dad worked at the university. We knew we were going to college. I went to the math department, and I thought all I can do was teach. And then Mom said, "Why don't you go talk to the engineering department?" They wouldn't talk to me because I was a girl. And so anyway, I ended up in business. I got a finance degree, and I got out of school, and I thought I'm going to get a big job. And I interviewed all over the place and got one offer to be in a word processing pool because I typed 85 words a minute. So times have changed a little. So my grandfather got me a job at a bank. And 29-year career in banking. I ended up traveling as a bank examiner in my 20s and all over. I still see bankers in town, and they're like, "Oh no, the auditor's here." It's like, no, I retired a long time ago. I'm not here to audit the bank. But so I got to travel, and kind of the things you're hearing on the news now about stress testing the banks and are they safe, that's the kind of thing I did. And one of the things that happened being a banker is they expected us to join the Rotary Club and get involved in the community. And it kind of turned out that I liked the community involvement more than I liked the banking. And I followed some banker friends to Lake Havasu, Arizona. This question?
You talk, and
Okay.
I'll worry about the questions. You're doing great.
I went to Lake Havasu with some folks I knew, and my boss said, "You need to get involved in the community." And most of the bankers were in Rotary, and I said, "What's this Kiwanis thing?" Well, my dad said, bless his heart, Kiwanis means waiting to get into Rotary, but that's not really true. So the main thing that the Kiwanis does is they focus on children's charities, and very, very active in the community, but their big thing was Toys for Tots. And I thought, okay, I can work on this, and we went shopping and bought toys, and I saw one of my Facebook memories, and it says, "Holy cow, I'm tired. We helped 800 kids. We gave toys to 800 kids." So when my dad became ill, I came back to Las Cruces, and one day I opened the paper, and it said, "Toys for Tots is going to close unless we find a coordinator." And I thought, I could do that. So this is about my 14th year with Toys for Tots, and it's my 6th year as coordinator in Las Cruces, all of Doñana County. And this past year, we gave over 18,000 items to 5,600 children in the county. And I'm always need volunteers, so about October. I may come talk to you again about that and could use some help. And then I'm also a member of the Rotary Club, and it's just almost the same as Kiwanis, except the projects are a little bit different. And I'm a past president of both clubs. One of the things I was really impressed with, the big thing that Rotary does right now is trying to eradicate polio in the whole world, and they were pretty close, and now it's popped up again a little bit. But you know, the only place it was left was Afghanistan and Pakistan. And of course, there's wars going on, and if someone comes and says, we want to put a needle in your child, they might shoot you, you know. So some of the Rotarians went and talked to the Taliban and had them stop shooting long enough to vaccinate their children. And it's a wonderful organization. I also got involved with, I was interim director at Jardín de los Niños with the homeless children. And I don't make a whole lot of money, but I think I do a whole lot of good. But that, you know, working at Community of Hope for a while really opened my eyes to homelessness and the needs of children. And I am so blessed that I can do these things. And one of my friends, you know, there's a lot of women that come into Community of Hope that have, you know, they have children, the men have left. It's not, of course, there's some people down there on hard times and things, but I said to one of my friends, I said, you know, we're all one medical emergency away from homelessness. And she said, that is not true. She said, you will never be homeless. And I said, well, you know, and she says, no, your mother would never let you be homeless. The Rotarians would never let you be homeless. You would take me in, and you don't even know me that well yet, but it wouldn't happen. And that, you know, made me count my blessings even more than I can help.
Yeah.
So.
It does speak to the power of community.
Yes.
Right? Well, that is so very well said. And you said you don't make a lot of money, but you do a lot of good. I think that is certainly clear. She does a lot of good. And it kind of leads me to the next question was, why would you want to work in a church? Because let me just tell a little bit about the story. So Kathy Nagley Delgado announced her retirement in January, but she said, I will stay on as a bookkeeper until we find somebody to do that. And I was thinking, where in the world am I going to find somebody who is qualified and also who wants to work in a church part-time? You know, so we wrote up the announcement, Kathy and I. We started sharing it at all the appropriate places, and I got a text message from Fran Bolt, and she said, "You need to call Patty Growth." And I was thinking, does Patty even want me to call her? Like, I don't know how this works, but I did. I called you, and I said, do you want me to call you? I said, we have this position. Is this something you want to talk about? And we just had this great conversation, and she understood that it was an open position, and she applied, and other people might apply too. But one of the questions I asked you was, why do you want to work in a church part-time when you clearly could be doing so many other things for so much more money? Do you want to tell them why you're here?
So I've worked for a couple churches, and I worked for a Lutheran church in Lake Havasu, and when I had to leave and come back to Las Cruces, that was the thing I missed the most. And, you know, doing Toys for Tots does not allow me to work full-time. I've tried it, and I'm getting too old. And one of the things that was very comfortable here is I already knew some people here. I knew Fran, and I know Christy, and Jim Maxon, and there's quite a few Rotarians that come here. MapQuest says that I can drive here in 4 minutes, and I can walk in 29 minutes. It's all downhill to get here, and it's all uphill to go home. So my gas bill has gone down, but you know, I pulled up in the parking lot for my interview, and I saw the inclusiveness posters outside which I really liked, and I came in and I was comfortable, and I told her, she's already got me, I'm not going anywhere, so.
I'm so very glad to hear that. And so it's really exciting to work with somebody who has a skill set, but also really cares about what we're trying to do in the community. So that is something that we have in Patty, which is a beautiful thing. So tell us a little more about Toys for Tots. You told us a little bit, you told us how you got involved, but there may be a time when we would like to be more involved, and I know you can share in more detail later what that looks like, but why is it so important? What difference does it actually make in the lives of the family and the children?
Well, pre-COVID, I do grant writing, and I was looking at numbers, of course, and before COVID, there was about 20,000 kids in our county that would qualify, that are living under the poverty level. And of course, shelter and food and all of those things are very important. But so is self-esteem. And we know that kids learn from playing, and I've seen your children already, but you learn from playing. Everything we give out is brand new. We try and give every child a book. And of course, we're 49th or 50th in education here all the time. And so, the more they can learn. And the other thing I just can't stand is, Santa's not coming because you were naughty. Well, no, kids weren't naughty. The parents just don't have the money, so plus, I have a really good time. The first time I went to Kmart to shop, and I said, oh, look at the Barbie. And everybody said, no, Patty, all the Barbies. I do have to tell you, though, so, I'll go into the store and buy 6 carts of toys, and people used to say to me, gosh, lady, how many kids do you have? Now I go to the store and they're like, gosh, lady, how many grandkids do you have? But you'll have to come see it if nothing else. It's really neat.
It's been really fun to talk to Patty about this. Obviously, I have 3 kids, and so they have gravitated towards somebody who understands toys, and I want to show her things. But we've also talked about how toys have changed over the years, how much more educational they have become, but also how more diverse, and how it's important to pay attention to the skin color of dolls and Barbie dolls, and just the different abilities that the kids have. And you at Toys for Tots, you make sure that you have that wide diversity, so you're meeting the needs of the kids in that way too, which I think is really important. Tell them about the selfie sticks, because I think that's an important piece of it as well.
Okay, so this is the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots program, and we get help from the Marine Corps, and depending how many kids we help, the bigger package we get. Well, so we don't know what's coming from the Marine Corps, but it's like Christmas when the boxes show up. But they send us things like selfie sticks.
You might need to describe what that is. Not
When you
knows.
can put your phone out on a stick and take a picture of yourself. Well,
Steve said he needs one of those.
if you don't have a phone, that's a horrible gift. It just drives home that you don't have what the other kids have. And I've tried to tell the Marine Corps people, you don't understand the poverty. Well, every kid has a phone. That's not true. And, I've seen dirt floors down here and people living in hotels on Picacho. And so I try and buy things. I buy board games and balls and dolls and things like that they don't need electronics.
Even the batteries can be an issue, right?
This year, 9-volt batteries were $5, and so like those sharper image cars at Walgreens that are really cool, $9 in batteries. to go with that toy. So you know, and if the parents can't afford more batteries, that toy's not fun anymore. So, but I discovered Lego this year, and that's gotten to be a problem for me.
You should see her Hogwarts castle. It's really, really great. I just think sometimes when we think about things like toys for tots, we're thinking about the immediate transaction. You know, here are the toys for Christmas, which is meaningful, but you're approaching this in such a contextual way. This is our community. These are our community's needs, and these are the things that are not helpful in our community, and that just creates even greater awareness about additional needs that we have. And that's really important, so I wanted you all to hear that. I know that you have questions for Patty, but do you have anything else you want to share? Anything you wish I'd asked?
I really have thought about this, but kind of looking at all the experiences in my life, what I've learned. Of course, we all know how fast life goes by, faster than you expect, but my philosophy now is do things that are fun and make you happy. If you're miserable, move on. So.
We are glad that you think this is fun.
It
makes
is,
you
so far.
happy. Because we don't want
She has a lot of toys in her office.
I do have toys in my office. We want you to stick around. I've said it before, I was not happy when Kathy told me that she was retiring, but you know, we trust that God is at work in transitions, and I've certainly seen God's provision in this transition as well. And so we're not getting rid of Kathy. Kathy's going to stick around, and I'm going to keep bugging her for a variety of reasons, but we're certainly glad to
Thank you, Kathy, too, for helping me still.
Yes. But we've got Patty in this role now, and we're really, really glad to have that. So what questions and comments do you have to share in our minutes? Stuart.
Can you talk about being a Lego master?
More about the Legos, please.
Who was it that told me that? Was it Sue? That your son had got. Sue's son fell on a Lego, correct? And it got stuck on his forehead, and he has a scar from a Lego piece. I tell you, I haven't stepped on one, so I haven't felt that, but get your skin between the little pieces when you click them together, that hurts. No, you know, somebody donated a beautiful Lego set, about $150 Lego set this year. And I looked at it, and I thought, I like puzzles, and I thought maybe I'll go buy that. So I bought the little elf Christmas house. And then I bought the Christmas family. And I also, my mom can tell you, I have a big addiction to the binge store, if you all haven't been there. I'm getting $50 toys for $3. But I have also found some big, expensive Lego sets for about $50 for myself. So I am running out of places to put them in my house.
So you brought some here.
I did. I brought some down here so I could do more.
That's so great. That's so great. What else for Patty? Any questions? Yeah, Steve.
You brought up something that neither one of us has ever thought about. The rest of the books, you have a unique feel for what the needs are, it seems like, in the community. Batteries.
Yeah.
Would not have thought of that.
Yeah.
I'm counting on you to come up with those little bits and pieces for us to be able to help satisfy.
To be aware. I'm going to repeat that for our friends online because they can only hear through the mic. So Steve is saying that the awareness that Patty is bringing for the needs in the community, as well as batteries and the difference there, is important, and that increased awareness can help us serve in different ways. It's really important.
And I do get, you know, we put out about 150 Marine Corps collection boxes in town. And so I get clothing and food, those kind of things, which we don't really give out, but I'll find a place for them. And, you know, I was on Facebook the day after Christmas, and I saw a family that their house had burnt down. And I thought, I've got all this food and clothing here right now, and called them up, and